Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskritya
Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Vidiyaye Nashtapayeshu Bhaddeshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishiki.
Canto 6, Chapter 18, Text 75. So 6, 1875. We are going to also do a quick chapter summary because there are some very cool insights in this chapter. And then we are going to focus on the specific aspect of this verse. It is a very sweet verse. But Srila Prabhupada is translated even more sweet. So Aradhya Atmapradam Swa-Atmanam Jagadishwaram Kaha Vrinita
Gunasparsham Buddha
Syat Narake Api Aradhyatma Pradam Devam Swatmanam Jagadishwaram Govrinita Gunasparsham Buddhasyam Narakiyat Aradhyatma Pradam Devam Swatmanam Jagadishwaram Govrinita Gunasparsham Buddhasyam Narake Piyat Aradhyatma Pradam Devam Swatmanam Jagadishwaram Govrinita Gunasparsham Buddhasyam Narake Piyat
Aradhyatma Param Devam
Pradam Devam Swadmanam Jagadishwaram Govrinita Gunasparsham Buddhasyam Narakiyat Aradhyatma Pradam Devam Swatmanam Jagadishwaram
Govrinita Gunasparsham
Buddhasyam Narake Priyat Aradhyatma Param Devam Swatmanam Jagadishwaram
Govrinita Gunasparsham
Aradhya after worshipping Atmapradam who gives himself Devam the Lord Swa-Atman the most dear Jagat Ishwaram the Lord of the universe what? Vrinita who choose Gunasparsham material happiness Buddha intelligent person Sya is Narake in hell Api even Ya which translation by Srila Prabhupada the ultimate goal of all ambitions
The ultimate goal of all ambition
is to become a servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
is to become a servant of Supreme Personality of Godhead.
If an intelligent man
If an intelligent man
serves the most dear Lord,
serves the most dear Lord,
who gives himself to his devotees,
who gives himself to his devotees,
how can he desire
how can he desire
material happiness
material happiness
is available
which is available
even in hell?
even in hell?
The ultimate goal of all ambitions
The ultimate goal of all ambitions
is to become
is to become
a servant
a servant
of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Supreme Personality of
If
Godhead.
an intelligent man
If an intelligent man
serves the most dear Lord,
serves the most dear Lord,
who gives himself to his devotees, how can he desire material happiness, which is available even in hell?
which is available even in hell.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada. An intelligent, yes, Jai Srila Prabhupada. An intelligent man will never aspire to become a devotee to achieve material happiness. That is the test of a devotee. As Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu teaches together. Na dhanam na janam na sundarim katamba jagadish kamaye mama janmani janmishvare bhavadat bhakti avitituiti. Together. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I desire any lovers. I only want your causeless devotional service birth after birth. A pure devotee never begs the Lord for material happiness in the shape of riches, followers, a good wife, or even mukti. The Lord promises, however, yoga jnana. I voluntarily bring everything necessary for my service. Om Madhyanamirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena
Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah.
I was born in the darkness of ignorance.
My spiritual master opened my eyes to the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him.
Lotus feet of my spiritual master. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uttapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Saranarunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Balan Saranalita Shakhamitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinamdo Jalpade Gopesha Vibhakanda Radha Namostade Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Yavaneshwari Vrishabhanusate Devi Pranamami Haripe Vancha Kalpadurvyascha Kripa Sindhuvyacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare
Hare
Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay. What we'll do is we'll do a quick run through this chapter. This chapter is very, very exciting. So many things happen in this chapter. But this will conclude the chapter after this. So the next Bhagavatam class will be on the following chapter. Okay. So what happened here? Very key takeaways, because I about this chapter for a long time. Each verse is like full of amazing things that happened there. Okay. First of all, it is to be noted that every phenomenon we see in the material world, or in the spiritual world for that matter, but especially in the material world, is a personality. So whether it is the morning, whether it is the afternoon, whether it is a particular sandhya, whether it is a particular yajna, for example, in the previous verses, we see that there were sons and daughters of specific personalities, bore specific names. Because this is the beginning of creation that this canto is about. These are all personalities who are responsible in charge of various things in our universe. So somebody is the personified form of a particular yajna, for example. Somebody is a personified form of sandhya, a particular sandhya. Somebody is a personified form of the sunrise. So there are so many personalities, and some of them are there. Okay, that's very important. So Sayam, there's a particular person who is in charge of evening, for example. Like There's a particular personality that is in charge. Okay. So another thing that happened in this verse when we heard about sons, the combined sons of Mitra and Varuna with Urvashi. Okay. Because there's a particular medical procedure that is followed these days. It's called IVF. Okay. So in which case when a couple is having trouble having children because there's some issue somewhere, mechanical issue, they take the secretions of the male and the female, they put them in a test tube babies, and then they put the embryo back in the womb of the mother, right? But this particular thing happened millions of years ago already, where Mitra and Varuna were preserved their seed basically in a pot, and two sons, Agastya and Vasistha, great personalities, Agastya and Vasistha, the guru of Lord Ramchandra, appeared in that way. They were both IVF babies. Okay, the first IVF babies in this universe for millions of years. Okay. Another thing is that Shukadeva was talking about the genealogy and the instruction. He says, "Thus we have heard." In other words, Shukadeva Goswami is not making anything up. So whenever we are speaking about the Bhagavatam or the Bhagavad Gita, there is no need for us to make anything up. It's actually quite dangerous for us to make anything up. A lot of Prabhupada said this, Prabhupada said that, but insist on references. And if there isn't a reference, you can take it with a pinch of salt. Right? Don't go with Prabhupada this, Prabhupada that. It will continue to happen. My spiritual master said this, I said that. And please, no speculation. Thus we have heard. Okay? What we have heard, and maybe a little bit of realization that is in line with what we have heard, but no speculation. Okay? That's very important. In this chapter, in a very form, the pastime of Lord Vamanadeva is mentioned, how he was born to Aditi. And Vamanadeva was born as one of the Adityas. Aditi's sons are known as Adityas, one of the 12 Adityas. Right? And then it's described how the Daitya family are described. Daitya means the children of Diti. Children of Aditi are demigods, children of Diti are demons. So Daityas and there's also Danavas, there's another, and importantly, Kashyap Muni is the father of both. The Daityas and the Adityas are both sons of the same father. Okay? So whatever happened in the Mahabharata is not new, it has been happening since time immemorial. But same family splits up. So this can happen sometimes among devotees. So we should not be super worried about such kinds of things, because it's how the Lord enacts his pastimes. Okay? In the Prahlad mentioned, right, in this Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha are mentioned as being killed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, liberated actually. Right? Rahu is mentioned, the one whose head was cut off by the Sudarshan Chakra of the Lord, but because he swallowed the nectar and the nectar was still in his throat, he did not fully die, so the head remained alive basically. And that personality is still around, who's in charge of the eclipse, the solar eclipses. That person is in charge of the eclipses. Right? It's also very, very interestingly, it's mentioned the demoniac tendency to eat meat is also in this chapter. But Ilvala, who's one of the Daityas, served Vatapi, his brother. So they had a scheme going on. So Ilvala and Vatapi were brothers. So Vatapi had a special form of becoming a ram. It could be sheep, basically a ram, male goat, male sheep is called ram. He could become that, and then Ilvala would cut and cook this particular demon, who would then bring some unsuspecting passerby and feed that person that meat. And then Vatapi had a special form of reconstituting himself inside the whoever has been eaten. So if you look at all the horror movies and all the alien movies and all that stuff hanging out there, this is there in the Bhagavatam. Okay? So Vatapi would come out. He would basically tear the body of the person who had been served that meal and come out and would feast on the unsuspecting guest. Right? That's what they would do. That was their modus operandi. They served the same meal to Agastya. Agastya, even though he's a Brahmana, he knew what was going on. He knew the scam. He had to scam. So he actually digested Vatapi. Vatapi could not reconstitute himself inside of Agastya. Okay? So Agastya, that was that. Then it's also mentioned in the Krishna book, you will read the pastime of Banasura. Banasura, the great demon, who had the boon that Lord Shiva would personally protect him. right? And so when Krishna attacked the city of Banasura, Banasura was first, the Lord Shiva first appeared and fought a battle with Shri Krishna in the Krishna book. You will read about it. Very interesting, very fun battle where Krishna made Lord Shiva yawn. He threw the yawning weapon and Lord Shiva could not fight because he was continuously yawning. Continuously yawning. that was a beautiful pastime. But that's briefly mentioned here how Shiva is still protecting Banasura. Banasura is now a great devotee. Because why is that? Because he is Bali Maharaj's son. Bali Maharaj is a great Mahajan. He is one of the 12 Mahajans. Bali Maharaj. So you can see that devotees can appear anywhere. They don't have to appear in some big Brahmana family or whatever. They can appear anywhere. So our job in the Krishna consciousness movement is to find those devotees wherever they might have appeared. They might have appeared in black bodies, white bodies, yellow bodies, doesn't matter. Handicapped bodies, smart bodies, not so smart bodies. Right? They might be poor, rich. We don't know. So when we are out on Harinam Sankirtan, when we are trying to distribute books, we don't make distinctions between, oh, this person looks like we take the book. We approach every single person because devotees can appear anywhere. Okay? So, and specifically the last part of this chapter talks about the appearance of the 49 Maruts. The Maruts are the different kinds of winds. So there are different kinds of fires. So there are in the yajna, there's a particular kind of fire. In the funeral, there's a particular kind of fire. The cooking in the kitchen is a particular kind of fire. There are different fires who come and perform their duties. Similarly, there are different winds. There are winds that increase lust. There are winds that bring detachment. There are winds that change the season. There are different winds. There are 49 Maruts described. So for example, the Inuit have how many words for snow? 50. Okay? Because that's very important to them. That's their life, right? So in the Bhagavatam and the other Puranas, you will also find different kinds of waters, different kinds of winds, different kinds of fires, different kinds of earths, different kinds. There are qualities of everything that are described, and there are deities in charge of all this. We'll come to that. Okay? So then, how did the 49 Maruts come about? So Diti was pregnant with a child who was Kashyap's child, and Diti had actually prayed for a child who would kill Indra. And Kashyap Muni was, we'll talk about that. So Indra divided this embryo into 7, and then he divided the embryo again, each one into 7, so he had 49. So this is something that has not been accomplished today. They haven't been able to take an embryo and split it into 2 babies, for example. Right? They may try to do it, but it isn't done. Even if they managed it, it's already been done, Indra has already done it. Right? He made 1 into 40. Right? So he did that. Okay, Diti's desire or ambition, this is the topic of today's class. Just the introduction is her desire or to kill Indra. So anybody can have different kinds of ambition. I want to put that person down. We can have different kinds of ambitions, but this was Diti's ambition because she was hurt by the killing of her 2 sons, Hiranyakashipu, and every mother loves her children very much. So she was very upset and angry, and she pleased Kashyap. She kind of cheated him a little bit, and then she got a boon from him. And then Kashyap was wondering how I can give her a boon, because he had already given her the 2 sons, Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. He didn't want to repeat that performance. He was like thinking about that I can, purify her consciousness. So he gave her a particular yajna, particular sacrifice to be done for 30 days called Pumsavana. Okay, so that actually confirmed. In this verse, there is a connection between the Srimad Bhagavatam and the Holy Bible. Okay, in the book there is a story of Adam and Eve, where Eve was created from a part of Adam's body. Okay, so in this, Shukadeva Goswami says, woman was created from the better half of a man's body, which is another reason why, it's not just when a couple refers to, when a man refers to wife, he refers to her as his better half. It's not just a figure of speech. It is actually coming from Bhagavatam. Okay? So a woman was created that way. So there's a very beautiful description about the relationship between husband and wife. And what should be the relationship between husband and wife, and how it should be. There's a lot of subtle nuances we don't have the time to get into between Kashyap Muni and between Diti. And in general, the duty of the husband and wife is to figure out how we can lead the other person towards Krishna. That's the goal of a marriage relationship, actually. Lead each other back to Krishna. in this chapter also is described how the only way to remove attachment through sense gratification, material desires, is to engage deeply in devotional service. In the earlier part of the 6th canto, there's a verse, famous verse, Kevalaya Bhaktya, Vasudeva Pranam, Aham Durmantikasanya, Niharame Bhaskara, just as fog is removed by the sun, when the sun rises, the fog dissipates. Similarly, all material desires and distractions dissipate once we develop an attachment for devotional service. And if we don't have an attachment for devotional service, performing devotional service will produce attachment for devotional service, which is the magic of it, right? So it's also here. There's also a social commentary, though the Bhagavatam doesn't really focus too much on these things. There's the nature of materialistic people is described in this particular verse as materialistic women, but as many of our spiritual masters have explained, anybody can act as a woman. They don't have to be in a female body as a woman, you know, and we can see that around our world. So the nature of materialistic people in general is very dangerous, but still performance of devotional service, even by such people, will purify and uplift them. Okay? Another commentary here is how someone comes to serve, but their motive is ulterior. Indra came to serve his mother, right? Serve. But what he was looking for is an opportunity to find fault. He was looking for one opportunity to find fault so he can go and kill the embryo. That was his motive. You can think about how amazing it is. So a similar person appeared in Krishna's times. Can you tell who that is?
Putana.
Putana, yes. Putana is the person who came as mother but wanted to kill the baby, right? Similarly, Indra came as a servant of his mother but wanted to kill her. Kashyapuni is his father, right? So therefore, so you can see how it is. You know, so in materialistic world, people often find faults. They are trying to find a mistake. You know, they might not be. So you have to, whenever dealing with materialistic people, you have to be super careful. Like they say, when you shake hands with a materialistic person, count your fingers, right? So forwards, okay. Right afterwards, you have all your fingers still here, okay. So Bhakti Maharaj says that never give your heart to a materialistic person. Never give your heart to a materialistic person, because what will they do? They'll barbecue it and you'll eat it, because that's their nature. Okay, so never do that. Okay? Be very careful who you trust with. Who you trust with your, you know, you have to be very clear about who you trust. Okay, that's really important. Anyways, the embryo was saved by Krishna. Krishna saved another embryo. Who's that?
Parikshit Maharaj.
Parikshit Maharaj. So there's a comparison made between the 49 Maruts and Parikshit Maharaj in this chapter. So why is it that the Maruts, who were born of a materialistic desire of Diti, were actually equated to a pure devotee like Maharaj Parikshit? Because his mother performed devotional service. Right? So because of the devotional service of this Marut's mother, they were uplifted. They were born in a very auspicious environment. So when a mother performs devotional service, especially when she is pregnant with a child, and that is most auspicious for the child. Right? So there's a whole procedure recommended where the mother and the father are supposed to perform devotional service very intensely before they try to have a child, and then continue their devotional service. That is what is samskara. Samskara is not a moment in time when you sit there and heat and fire. Samskara means what your parents have done before you were born, when you were still in the womb, after you were born. What are the vibrations going on in your home? Is it the Bhagavatam or is it the television? Right? So this is very important. These are towards samskara. And when we perform devotional service, gradually the old samskaras get eradicated. You know, whatever might be, and they get replaced by the culture of the Bhagavatam. Okay? So that's an important thing. Later on, in the end, even if somebody might be inimical, but honest behavior, hearts can be melted. So this is very important. We can split up, we can have fights, that can happen. It's unavoidable in the material world. But after that, honest behavior by both sides will melt the hearts and bring them even closer together before. So just because we have had a fight with someone does not mean that we can make up with them, but the center should be Krishna. We cannot make up with them like what is happening in the United Nations. Right? That will never bring peace, because none of them have that honest, loving behavior with each other. So amongst devotees, we should have that sense that yes, we had standing, yes, we had some trouble, yes, we had a fight, yes, we did this, that, the other person. But if both parties bring forward honest behavior, and this has happened in my life with so many devotees, If we can have honest behavior on both sides, then the relation becomes stronger than ever before. Notice that Diti did not have any enmity towards Indra afterwards, after this happened. Even though, technically speaking, he would kill her children. Right? She did not say, oh, this Indra, it had too much. Just it's a miracle that something else happened. She did not keep that in her heart. She let it go. Right? So even if somebody has hurt us by Krishna's mercy, we let it go, provided that person is a materialistic person. Materialistic person, keep your distance. Be very careful. Count your fingers very carefully. Okay, now we'll come back to the main topic of this class. Okay, so Aradhyatma Pradam Devam Swatmanam Jagadishwaram Kovrinita Gunasparsham Buddhasyam Narakepya. There are two key things here that I would like to focus on. One is Gunasparsham. First of all, the person doing devotional service and trying to do Gunasparsham. Okay, that is one thing. And then, and this verse actually very interesting that material happiness is available where? Even in hell. We will discuss that just a little bit before we take questions and comments. Okay? So, first of all, everybody has ambition. Everybody has some ambition. Somebody wants to become the CEO of some company. Somebody wants to become the businessman on the planet. Somebody wants to earn a PhD. Somebody wants to, get power and following. They want to, have people there. They want to become famous. They might want to, become a big bodybuilder, for example, or some beauty queen, right? So many different ambitions people have. Somebody wants to become an actor or actress. Somebody wants to write poetry and be known for their poetry. Somebody wants to study a lot of books and be known as knowledgeable and wise. Different people have different ambitions. Okay? So, the different ambitions, we should not get distracted by them, but we should try to understand what is the goal of this ambition. If somebody wants money, why do they want money? If somebody wants a good wife or a good husband, why do they want that? And why do they want this? Why do they want that? Go deep into understanding the goal of the ambition, why somebody wants ambition. Now, if somebody wants some kind of something, when we focus on the goal, we understand that they want happiness. They want ananda. Right? Everybody wants it. Right? But then we know that because I am a spirit soul, because that person is a spirit soul, they will never be happy unless they get Krishna. Unless they become Krishna conscious, and unless they become Krishna servant, they will never ever be happy. So when we are going out there in the world, we should, and we are telling somebody about Krishna, we should not be nervous that we are taking them away from their ambition. We should be fully confident that actually we are directing them to the goal of all their ambitions. Why do you become an actress? Why do you want to become the CEO? What is it? Okay, you keep doing it, but why do you want to do it? What is it that you want to get out of it? You will not get what you are looking for. Somebody wins the election, does that make them happy? Yes, maybe for a night. The next morning, the headache of the administration of their heads, right? People are criticizing them, right? So actually become Krishna conscious is the only way to happiness. Now Krishna says in Bhagavatam, Mamai Vamsho Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhuta Sanatana, Manashthan Indyani, Prakritisthani Karshati. So you see there's a connection between every verse of the Bhagavad Gita and the Bhagavatam. Prakritisthani Karshati. Krishna recognizes that they are fighting with their senses. They are fighting with material nature. Prakritisthani Karshati. Mamai Vamsho Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. They are eternal and they are my part and parcel. Krishna is expressing the foolishness of these living entities who are fighting in material nature, fighting with their senses. Prakritisthani Karshati, fighting with each other also. Because anybody who impedes my sense gratification becomes an enemy. I must destroy that person, right? That's how it becomes. So Krishna is describing that. The other thing is, if an intelligent man serves the most dear Lord who gives himself to his devotees, what was Diti's purpose? She wanted a son to kill Indra. But let's see how Krishna arranged everything so that not only did she not want to kill Indra anymore, he became her dear son. And she got 49 demigods. So Diti is not just the mother of the demons, she is also the mother of the demigods. Because if you think about it, that was her desire. Aditi has all these nice, effulgent sons, and I have all my sons. So she had that desire in her heart. Aditi had only 12 sons. Diti got 49. By whose actions? By Indra's actions. So both were envious. Right? But the way, if you envious people together and put Krishna in the middle, both of them will be silent. And both of them will get more than they ever imagined. He got 49 brothers. Can you imagine that? Like he got 49 brothers, 49 others. Practically, even though they were Daityas, they are still demigods, right? They were saintly persons, right? So, you see, putting Krishna in the middle solves problems. So, don't, especially when I was preaching, or sometimes it happens that we are hesitant to introduce Krishna in some conversation because we feel, no, will it be good for them? Will they accept it? No, it doesn't matter. Just introduce Krishna anyways, somehow or the other. Right? Whether they know it or not. Sometimes you may mention Krishna by name, sometimes not mention Krishna by name, but just you thinking about Krishna while interacting with someone will benefit them. They are envious. Okay? So that's an important thing to know. And then the next point to be understood here is that material sense gratification is available in hell. Now this might raise a question. Right? So hell is meant for correction. Where is material sense gratification in hell? Now look around the world where we live in. Is it heaven or is it hell? It is hell only, right? Right? There's old age. We can ask the people who are experiencing old age what it is like. And Srila Prabhupada said, don't think this will not happen to you. Srila Prabhupada said that. Srila Prabhupada tells a story when they were in Vrindavan and they were around. Somebody gifted Prabhupada a nice walking stick. Prabhupada accepted the walking stick. And Prabhupada to detect what the disciples were thinking. In their 20s and 30s, young people, and they were looking at the walking stick, they were looking at the man who brought it, and they were looking at Prabhupada. Prabhupada took the walking stick, he accepted it from this gentleman, and said, he pointed the stick at everybody, and he said, don't think this will not happen to you. And every time you meet Srimad Prabhu anytime, and ask him about his walking stick, he will tell you the story. He was there personally. So we have many devotees who are experiencing old age. Right? I'm at the cusp of starting to experience, right? And many other devotees, you can ask your spiritual masters, you can see their condition, you know that this world is no heaven, for sure, right? And then you start thinking about other problems, all the children who are dying in wars, or the children who are killed in the wombs of their mothers, right? The old people who are just thrown out, right? People who are just murdered, right? So many things are happening right on the streets, right outside us, right? People who are being abused, trafficked, so many things, like, once, anyways, I won't get into that story. I answer it, but, so the world is a hell, but is there material sense gratification here? There is. People are trying to get material sense gratification, and all kinds of travels and all kinds of tribulations, all kinds of trials, just to get a little bit of sense gratification. So, just as in this particular hell there is material sense gratification, in the other hells also, like Poo, and there are so many other, we have studied it, the chapter 5, where it's a description of all the different hellish planets. There is also some material sense gratification. What is the sense gratification in Krimi Bhojan? Krimi Bhojan, you know this planet? It's a planet which is full of only ocean. You should read the Bhagavatam. Right? So, fifth canto, we already covered it, or maybe not, that particular verse, but there's a particular planet in which there's a huge ocean only, there's a water, only water, right? And inside the water there are krimis, insects, worms. Worms are inside, okay? And I don't remember it's 100,000 yojanas or 200,000 yojanas. That's the length of the thing that you have to cross. So basically, it's like a, it's like a game, like a video game. You have to cross a certain level, okay? So you have to cross you can cross one yojana per lifetime, right? And the next lifetime, born again in Krimi Bhojan, another yojana you cross. Another lifetime, another yojana. Another lifetime, another yojana. Another lifetime, another yojana. And so on, so on, so on. And there are only krimis, right? Worms only. So what is the activity of the worms? One worm eats the other worm. So somebody who is interested in, for example, vegetarian food, not prasadam, is sent to Krimi Bhojan. You can eat to their heart's content, as many worms as you like. But then you don't know if there's another bigger worm about it. Right? So that that thing is there. So that is what, so Krimi Bhojan, what is the sense gratification of Krimi Bhojan? Eat. You are a worm, eat another worm, eat. Right? So even in the hellish planet called Krimi Bhojan, there is some sense gratification. So every hellish planet you study, there is some kind of sense gratification involved in that. Okay? So just like this, it's not even a hellish planet really, but there is a hell component to this planet. It is available. So material sense gratification is available everywhere. Even if you are on this planet and you are in the body of a dog or a pig, right? There is so much sense gratification available. The experience of eating too much, for example, is available to all animals. Experience of sleeping available to all animals and birds, right? But it's mixed with some kind of terror. Like a bird is worried the whole night. Is somebody going to come and some snake, right? Crawling up to catch me, right? So this is there. In every sense gratification, there is a tinge of discomfort. Okay? So when this is available in hellish planets also, then why, once we have attained to the platform of devotional service in some respect, why on earth should we go after sense gratification? Why should we do this? Right? So Srila Prabhupada translated, intelligent man serves the most dear Lord, gives himself to the devotees. There is a verse again in the 6th canto about the beginning of the 6th canto. There is a verse that says, yes, if you approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead, first of all, there is the original verse, Akama Sarva Moksha Kam Udarati Tivrena Bhakti Yogi Nileta Purusha Param. That's the first one. There you have desires, full of desires, no desires, desire liberation, right? Or whatever your condition might be, worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Why? Even if you have desires, Satyam Nishati Artitam Artito Nrinam Naivartho Yat Punarartito Yataha. So yes, approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Though you cannot be called an intelligent person at that point in time, but the Lord will make you intelligent. So Lord, Swayam Vidathe Bhajata Anipchata. You approach for material desires, you will grant your material desires. She wanted a son, she got 49. Right? She got it. But the way she got it, her heart was purified, her heart was cleansed. So similarly, even though many people don't come, somebody might come here because rent is too expensive outside. Doesn't matter. Somebody might come here because they're sick of working in the material world. Doesn't matter. Somebody might come here just because they love the prasadam. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter why they come in here. We cannot that person because that person after coming here will be purified gradually. And a person who does not get purified will be hunted out by themselves. Right? They will make the decisions that will take them away from. Okay, so intelligent person will stay, whether they stay in the temple or not, right? But whether they stay in devotional service or not is what is important. Wherever they are, wherever they might be, whatever circumstances they might be, stay in devotional service. So intelligent person strives for devotional service and strives to become a servant. A famous song by a saint from South India named Purandara Dasa, known as the father of classical music, Carnatic classical music. He says he is Purandara Dasa, but he is singing Dasa ne Madi Koyenna. He is saying, please be your servant. He is a servant. He is Purandara Dasa, initiated by Vyasatirtha, participated succession as Purandara Dasa, the eternal, the servant of the eternal. Nityo Nityanam, Chetanas Chetanam, servant of that person. He is saying, Dasa Madi Koyenna, Swami, Dasa ne Madi, please make me a servant. So, the Das does not think that he is a Das. He is thinking that he wants to become a Das. You know, so some people write that you are aspiring servant. Not your servant, but you are aspiring servant. That's the mood that you are supposed to have. Okay? So stop here. There are questions, comments, or challenges. We can take those. And then we can go to the next part of the program. Somebody said it was the last part of the morning program. Actually, the last part of the morning program is breakfast. Yes.
No, thank you for a wonderful class, first of all.
Thank you very much.
My question was that, like you said, that both parents need to be in that state of mind to have a kid. So here, Diti was not in that mindset. She wanted to have a son called Indra, but her husband was a very saintly person, right? So, despite him being so saintly, and she not being very saintly and having that desire, still she got Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksh previously.
Yeah. That was because it was unavoidable. because she had expressed a desire at a particular time when good children cannot be born. And right, so there's a particular inauspicious time when someone is conceived, then they are likely to be affected by all sorts of negative energies. So, and they had the power of Kashyapa. It was Kashyapa who gave birth. So they were powerful but not saintly.
And that was because of the inauspicious time.
Because the way the desire was expressed. Right? And then it was unavoidable. But in the you look at the big picture, it was Krishna's arrangement actually. So one can say that Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha both gave pleasure to the Lord, though not in devotional sense.
So that means, Prabhu, that, forgetting this thing for a second, but that means that whatever we do for our Krishna consciousness, how we conduct ourselves in our life, with how we're living, so everything is so important from the
Every single
timing
thing
to what
matters.
we say to...
Yes. Antakale mameva smaran muktva kalevam yaprayati samabhavam yati nasa samshaya yam yam vapi smaran bhavam yajat yante kalevam tamtameva iti kaunteya sada bhava bhavita. The moment of death is super significant. The moment of death is the sum total, the culmination. When you take a huge equation, right? So many factors. Imagine a polynomial or some differential equation or something like that, and you have like many factors. Especially infinite series, right? Take an infinite series. The infinite series totals up to something. If I total up to 0 or 1 or minus 1, whatever that be, like whatever the total might be, or infinity, whatever that might be, it totals up to something. So the moment of death is that total, is the thing that is after the equal to sign. You have your whole life, this plus, this minus, this plus, minus, this into minus, all this. You have this whole life of experience, infinite series of events and activities that we have set into motion, equal to question, that is a moment of death for us in human life. So that's why everything that we do adds up, and it's super important. That's why to be conscious of what we are. That's what it means. Am I Krishna conscious or not? I had an experience with my spiritual master, Sankarshan Prabhu, once in an elevator, and we were taking him up to our apartment, putting him on the 5th floor. And for a second, he looked at the news. And then the elevator door opened, ting, and that ting woke him up from his 20 seconds of non-Krishna consciousness, according to him anyways. And then he said, Krishna. Yeah, I fell out. He was feeling like that. I had to fall down. Right? For us, it's like remembering is a rare thing. And for someone like me anyways. But for advanced devotee, a moment, their standards higher. Yes.
I had 3 questions. One was Mr. Prabhu asked, so the quality of seed doesn't matter if the mother's consciousness is impure?
Everything matters, total. Everything matters. Right? So in general, we see that boys are like their mothers in their nature, and girls are like their fathers in their nature. In general, we see that it's not a rule, but it's a general thing. We see that the nature, the personality is like that. Actually, it all matters. Everything matters. But it's just as Prahlad was born in the house of Hiranyakashipu, right? It doesn't. That I was saying earlier that devotee can anywhere, just like a demon can appear anywhere. Right? Hiranyakashipu was the son of Kashyapa, but he was demoniac. Prahlad was the son of Hiranyakashipu, but he was saintly. You see what I mean? So it can happen that a soul has to appear in a certain circle. Like for example, take the disciples of Srila Prabhupada. They are born in America and Europe, in South America, and so on and so forth, right? But Srila Prabhupada says that they were all Brahmanas in their previous life. So why were they born in richer families in which cows are being eaten? Why? Because they had to assist Srila Prabhupada in his mission. Right? So they are saintly souls. Immediately when they became 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, they left everything and they joined Srila Prabhupada wholeheartedly. Right? They gave everything. I haven't given even a fraction of what they have given. Right? but they are given everything. Right? So that is, so they can appear anywhere. Understand? Yeah.
Like morning, evening, Sandhya, Rat, everyone is a personality. Are they a designation or?
Yeah, Sayam person is mentioned here. Right? So there are different cycles mentioned here. So for example, I noted a few. The Vratas, Agnihotra Yajna is a person. Agnihotra is a person. Right? The Chaturmasya Vrat that we are following from today, no green leaf vegetables for one, is a person in charge of that Chaturmasya. Shopal by the way has said everybody should follow. Whether you're a sannyasi or a Vasistha or whatever, you follow. Right? So no green leaf vegetables for one month. So that's starting today. Time of day Sayam is mentioned there. There's so many other, there are so many personalities mentioned throughout the Bhagavatam in various cantos. So that is the person in charge of wealth, for example, in charge of Smriti and Diti and so many different personalities that we mentioned. They are the original in charge.
And Indra, it is mentioned like Indra is son of Rishi Kashyap and Aditi. So is it a position, a designation or?
Designation. But that particular person is their son. So in the Bhagavatam, you will see that the future Indra has been mentioned. The next Indra is who?
Bali Maharaj.
Bali Maharaj. He is the next Indra. He is in line. He is waiting to take his post. Right? So when the present Indra dies or moves on from his post, he will be replaced by Bali Maharaj. Why? Because he desired to become, even though he was pure devotee, he is pure devotee, he had a material desire. Desire will be fulfilled by Krishna. You wanted this, just like Guru Maharaj. You wanted this, take it. You wanted a kingdom greater than your father and grandfather, he take it. So yes, so Tyam Dishati Arthitam Arthitam. Yes, it's true. And he whatever you have come to him asking for. But how he gives? Satyati Arthitam Arthitam Naivarthado Yat Punararthito Yataha. Bali Maharaj will never express a desire, material desire ever again. Guru Maharaj will never express a material desire ever again. So Amthartosmi, Varam Nenachi. Right? That was his nature as soon as he met the Lord. Similarly, even us, we will be in the same situation that the request for material desires will end. But Krishna will grant all those desires in such a way that new desires won't be created. Whereas we get them from other demigods like Lord Brahma or Indra or Chanda or whatever, they will give us to more, every desire gives us to more desires, like a multi-branched forest, continuously going on. But if you ask Krishna, he will give the desire, but he will give the desire, no side effects, no additional.
No repetitions.
Any other questions? We are out of time, I guess.
So how can we stop buying material happiness? And is it through knowledge because it's like intelligent person? Or is it
How can we stop desiring material happiness? You just have to get a taste of devotional happiness. And then you will compare the two. You will see your experiences in which somebody, whether you got it or not yourself, you will see your experiences in somebody had a desire to experience, I don't know, some kind of sensual experience, for example, right? But they may remember what happened after that sensual experience. They'll say, that is not good because that's how this ended up. Right? They will get that by yourself as you get a more and more of a taste for devotional experiences. The Yanmai Tuna Vigrahame Dukham Hiducham Kandu Yane Karayori Vadukha Dukham Tripyan Tineha Kripanam Bahudukha Bhajam Kandu Tijam Vishahe Tadhira. So this is described as, sometimes, I don't know, you're not old enough for that, but sometimes your hands itch.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, does anybody experience? Yeah, sometimes your hands itch. And then it feels kind of pleasurable to scratch them. Right? Or some other part of your body which is dry, especially itch, and then you start catching it. But Srila Prabhupada says, you scratch it, and then there will be blood. Right? So he told this to Atmatattva Prabhu, who is from South India, from Kerala, and the way he says with his Malayalam accent, blood. Right? He's saying Srila Prabhupada, what Srila Prabhupada said in a different accent. So it's like that. Right? So I think what you simply have to do is recognize that these materialistic desires are like itching on the palms or some other part of your body, and that really we not scratch it. Right? For example, or maybe take some vitamins and some things to be related to other disorders of the body, etc. So you don't separately have to try to get rid of that. You just have to figure out, I have this desire. Name desire, any material desire, not even yours, just name any material desire.
To have a PhD.
To have a PhD, okay? So you're like, how can I engage this desire in the service of Krishna? Okay, so if I get a PhD, then I will get a job as a professor or whatever, and then I can practice devotion. So if that is it, then you will get a PhD, but you won't have need to get another PhD, for example. Like a lot of people do 2 PhDs or 3 PhDs, they never stop, right? Why do people do that? So figure, that's what we need to do, and that's what Kashyap Muni did, you see here. He did not say, no, I will not give you a son. He did not say, because the moment you say no, the desire actually becomes stronger. Right? It becomes insistent. So you have to figure out how, like, almost like a child, The moment you say no to a child, then the child becomes like crazy, like goes further and further. If you have siblings, you might have experienced that. Right? So what do? We figure out how to engage that desire in service of Krishna. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
Right? And that's what the expert spiritual master does also. When you approach a spiritual master, tell them what you want. Some people who go and say, I want to get married, They say, oh, I love this girl, I want to get married. Oh, sure, here's a nice girl. And then here's a sugar. Exactly what is the sign of marrying. And then they experience what marriage is like. Some people could make it, some people.
But what if you see that but you still want the thing, okay, if I get the PhD, it's going to be so much work and I'm going to be so distracted. And
No, then do it.
Other people.
Then do it. Like it's not that you have to stop yourself. You have to just continue your your practice of Krishna consciousness. So in general, it is also said that if a certain psychophysical nature, like if somebody has a psychophysical nature to control people, right? And they say, no, I'm not going to control people, they will go try to control someone. They will drive their family members crazy, right? No, just go to some workplace for people there. Like, don't come here and right? Just like somebody might want to cook massive feasts, like Varuna Prabhu, for example. You say no cooking for you. What will Varuna Prabhu do, right? Yeah, he will have to cook somewhere, go to work in a restaurant. Right? So every person, like for example, I love to speak, for example. My spiritual master is like, this fool loves to speak, how can I get him to speak for Krishna? Right? That's how, so this person loves to sing and show off, or okay, engage them in Kirtan, they will be purified. Right? So that's how it is. Somebody loves to dress really flamboyant. Okay, put them in a drum. Right? Let them dress flamboyantly, let them go on a stage. Right? But let them do it for Krishna. So that's the idea. Like, that's what Kashyap Muni did. This word, this Pumsavana vow is actually a vow of Krishna consciousness. And the end of it, because she so sincerely, she was purified of all her. So that's it. That's what we need. We want to go to a PhD. Go to a PhD. It's even more, even better. Because there's often this narrative that people who pursue spiritual life are idiots, right? There are papers out there that says, oh, here's the IQ of people who believe in God. Here's the IQ of God. Dumb people believe in God. Smart people don't believe in God, right? That whole thing is flawed. The whole research is flawed. But then, go get a PhD and Swarup Damodar Goswami, who is a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, had a PhD. He was a PhD in chemistry. And he wrote the scientific basis of Krishna consciousness. Have you read the book?
No.
Green book, the beautiful cover. Have you read it?
No, I want to add something else.
Sure, you can add something. But if you don't have this book, just check out the book, Scientific Basis of Krishna Consciousness. It's a small book, tiny little one, right? Written by Swarup Damodar Goswami, who was a PhD. Right? There are other PhDs, Michael Cremo, right? Dutta Karma Prabhu is a PhD. Sadaputa Prabhu, a PhD. Ravindra Swarup Prabhu, PhD. Right? Mother Urmila, PhD. Right? So many wonderful. Yeah, it's not harmful to pursue a PhD by itself.
It wasn't a personal example.
No, whatever it might be, right? Whatever it might be. Yes.
I
you
was
want to
just
add something?
I was just adding on Prabhu that even like when you like I'm a psychologist. I worked all my life with patients with cancer, and when you see that we used to have a sheet which was from National Comprehensive Cancer Network (NCCN). It's the largest US-based cancer research and everything. They had one sheet called the distress thermometer. That thermometer would ask these cancer suffering patients how are they feeling. Scale of 10 and a lot of questions, a lot of factors like small checklist. One question on that NCCN questionnaire was spirituality. Yes or no, are you spiritual, are you not spiritual? And their research said any person who's spiritual deals with cancer so much better. That is why they put that as a separate question on their distress thermometer. And over time, when for 6 years I worked with people with cancer undergoing surgery, radiation therapy, you could see such a stark difference in people who were spiritual, even going through the toughest situations. They were so much stronger and resilient as compared to people who were not holding on to someone weakest of faiths.
That's a great point.
So this just came to my mind when you said that some papers say that people who are spiritual have low IQ. But if you actually do more researches, there are some really credible backings which say.
Yeah, no, I mean, I read that paper and it was flawed. There were so many issues with that. It was completely, it was flawed. But anyways, yeah. Okay, makes sense. So, the material desires are not by themselves, right? Because kama sarva kama, it's Bhagavatam says that. Just make sure, Rupanova Prabhu, who's my instructing spiritual master, who's here in the community, very amazing. He said, don't worry about anything else, just add Krishna. Just keep adding Krishna. Just insert Krishna, he will make room for himself and he will make everything else.
Sure.
Okay?
Thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Genealogy.
Jai.
Srimad Bhagavatam ki.
Jai.
Vancha, Sindhu, Krishna, Sindhu, Devotee.